Yep.
Okay. Recording has started. Beginning in 3, 2, 1. If I'm running one game a week and you send me a long, detailed character backstory, I'm going to love it. If I'm running 2 games a week and you send me a long, detailed character backstory, I'm going to love it. If I'm running 3 games a week, stop it. I don't like it. I want to start... I'll start to question whether or not you hate me as a person. And did I do something wrong to you? Did I upset you? Wait, there's more? 9 background character NPCs. Above table. I'm turning your backstory into bullet points. Welcome players, DMs, and TTRPG enthusiasts to Above Table, where I can't talk. Hey, here's a fun game. If you're with a group of players and you don't have a GM amongst you guys, put all your phones in the middle of the table, and the first one to pick up their phone is the GM. You're either A, someone's going to step up, which is great. B, you're going to have a phone-free night. That's nice. We're all looking for excuses to get away from our phones. Or C, you're just going to have all phones at your house as everyone just leaves them there. No one wants to step up. All these are good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Can't convince me otherwise. I'm also glued to my phone, so that was probably a good idea. But then again, I'm always the GM, so. Besides you, Nick, you're also the GM.
Yeah, it's just such a strange perspective. Like you hear about like the GM DM shortages or whatever, but also it must be that people that are active in the online communities and spaces are much more likely to be GMs and DMs and everything. So they're overrepresented in online discussions because it always seems like you hear and see people talking about that perspective, right? Not, I'm a forever player. I can never GM a game. Nobody will let me. Yeah. Like, that seems doesn't come up that much, you know?
Yeah, it's this, I think it's everyone wants to play a power fantasy. Everyone wants to experience the ability to be like, and then I decimated the dragon. It's like, you don't want to be the person who's running the dragon go, and then they killed my dragon.
You know, I do, but, you know, that's...
I was like, I don't know.
That's the secret. It's the ultimate power fantasy is to just make up the story, right? And to be running the entire story and to have all the cunning plans and plot twists, right? That's the GMs are the ultimate power gamers. You can just cheat all your rolls, you know? Like,
is that what I feel? Is that what this feeling is?
You know, the only thing more powerful than like a level 20 wizard is the GM, you know? You can, you decide what happens with the wish.
Yeah, it's always the thing where like the players will go, ha, that was a very easy combat. And you'll go, or to not make it so.
Yes.
I think you both gave good advice when I could never see myself doing a campaign because I have like perfectionism problems and you can't have that when your players are manipulating the story. Because it's just not going to go the way you want it to go.
I think even in a broader sense, you just can't be a perfectionist with being a GM. You have to be okay with
you have to be okay with
and be like, well, all right, I did say this, so I guess it's true.
Well, that happened. No, I think the 2 tips I got, Mike, you were like, have like important things written out and like detail, but like bullet point the rest of the stuff so you don't drive yourself crazy. Otherwise you'd be writing for forever. And then Nick, you were like, if something happens, just go with it. It's okay. Now you got to make up a new thing. If it didn't go the way you wanted it to go, it's totally fine. You just make shit up. Invent a little.
Yeah, absolutely.
There were conversations, I think during our Blades campaign, Nick, that you literally go, well, that decision was made, so let's regroup next week so I can write up what's going to happen now. It's like, as a GM, you didn't need to plan for that, but it did happen, and now it's like, hey, I could just end the session here and then pick it up with more information later.
That is a good move with a long-time reliable group, is the dramatic cliffhanger, and rather than forcing yourself to come up with an answer right then and there, it's like, this is worthy of taking some prep time for, you know?
100%. Well, we've got a few topics to talk about today. And one that is very, I learned from online GMs who do like large productions, and usually they try to do well to paint a picture. And that is utilizing more than just visual context for scene descriptions. It is the aspect of using all 5 senses as much as you can, which I think, from my experience of being a player for everyone here at their table, Amber, you've run a few one-shots. Nick, you're campaigning one-shots as well. I think everyone has dabbled in that concept of like, electricity is going off. Everyone can taste the ozone in the air. Or, you're walking and you feel like the thumps of footsteps around the corner and they'd feel massive. It's like, it's more than just a visual thing. It's more of an experience of all senses.
Taste always gets me. Doesn't matter if I'm describing it or I'm listening to a description, but taste always gets me.
I like taste.
Taste is the tricky one, and we talked about this a bit when we were talking about like if you use the 5 senses to describe a character, and you're very literal about it, right away it gets a little weird. But it's like, no, okay, so you're not literally like tasting this person. You're like, what taste would you associate with this person?
Yeah.
In your mind, like what kinds of foods would you associate with this person? What vibe do they give off? And then you have a lot more area to play with. And I mean, I think it's obviously a good idea for variety of reasons. I think it's like what is it? Smell is the sense tied most into memory. So you can make particularly memorable scenes or evoke a particular vibe that you're going for. I think also just like there's the challenge, like playing with a virtual tabletop or in person or whatever, the ease of a grid and everything like that. And then you get really into minis, or you have like the perfect picture of your character to be like, this is it. This is the world that exists. Yeah. Right. And so as soon as you're using the different senses, everything but sight, you're reminding people like, no, your characters are in this world and they're taking in all these details that are not represented in any way in this virtual tabletop or on this table. You need to be engaging those parts of your brain to really get it,
It's why I tend to, especially with my games, and it's just the games that I run, is whenever there's like role play moments, you guys are usually on like a landing page, especially when it comes to like a virtual tabletop, because I don't need you to look at anything else. I want that to be like, I want you to ignore that. And it isn't until like a combat happens where there does need to be distance measured and there's strategic movement. That's where it matters to have a map. But I agree. There's a really good a tip I learned from, I think it was like maybe XP to level 3 or some one of those content creators, where they mentioned before you give the visual, give everything else, because whenever you're giving the visual first, the players are going to cut in and go, well, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to attack that person. Like, you see someone in the doorway, cloaked in black, and they're standing in between you and the exit. It's like, oh, I'm going to go shove him. We're going to talk to them. But if you describe, maybe it's chilly outside, and you open up the door, or this person at the door, and the first thing you describe to the players is you feel a gust of wind from behind you and the gleam of light from the door to be open, and you hear sort of the slam. This door was opened heavy, and then you turn around, and then you can describe something visual. It's like you start to cement them in the actual scene without going. You turn around, you see the door open, there's a guy there. It's like, give me more. I want more to this. I love the aspect of putting in. I like it's odd to say, but taste in combat is great when it's specific things, like getting hit so hard that you could taste the blood in your mouth. I think that's a really cool descriptive. Getting hit with an acid spray, you can almost taste the accurate kind of like everything feels acidic in the air now as you breathe it in. It's really fun to be like, this feels different.
If you can relate it to something like an actual thing in real life, that's when you give people. Because if you were to say acrid and you could say like, oh, you know, if you've ever had acid reflux and you could feel it in your throat, and they're like, oh no.
Yes.
Like, that's a good descriptor.
The moment it becomes too
because now
real,
they know what you're talking about.
the moment it comes too real, that's when the players kind of like get sickening. I don't think I've met too many people who have not broken a bone at certain points in their lives, but
Oh, knock on wood, man.
there's that point where you could be like, if someone got really hurt, there's like that snap sound, and it's really fun, especially in a group of players who I could signal out, oh, you've broken a bone before, or I'll go, oh yeah, you know, you with a hammer you hit this guy's leg and he goes down 0 HP, and it's not just like, and he's unconscious. You hit him at a certain point in the leg and you hear a snap as he grips his knee. And everyone goes, oh, I broke a bone. I'm like, yeah, you broke a bone. And everyone else you could see who kind of like remembers that snap sound. Oh no, that's not good.
Now I have a question for Nick. Does the Ripper produce a smell when you burn a ghost through it, or when you run a ghost?
I forgot if I said or not. I mean, we've been through, you know, our version of Blades is its own world and everything, but a lot of it is the same as the core book, and it's ghosts and ghost energy is very tied into electricity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Leviathan blood. I've written down its own smell. It's like a specific kind of jam mixed with blood, so it's like a very sweet and jammy scent. But yeah,
it's like a sweet metal.
Yeah, ghosts I think are the cliche of like, you know, ozone, but like, you know, crackling electricity and everything. And so to destroy one, I do think it would be like burning electronics would be the scent that would come out of it.
Wires.
Like
Burning wires.
that specific kind of smoke that comes out when an electronic thing has shorted out. That's the, you know, because that's ghosts are, yeah, ghost energy is power. It is what powers all the technology of the city. So, yeah, that would definitely, and you know, that's an example of like, you can pick sensory details to emphasize connections you want to build, like ghosts are electrical energy. They're tied into technology in that weird way. Or you can pick sensory details that are perhaps surprising or like undercut what might be the expected thing. So like if there's some kind of monster or even a grisly scene, or like it's, you know, it's too graphic. But often when horror stories are talking about like somebody was found burned alive, first somebody arriving at the scene will describe that they smell like roasting pork or some kind of like
hair or something.
Yeah, like food that's good until they figure out what it is. Right? And so like you can trick somebody with those kind of sensory details, and like the associations you were making now are more powerful when they're like subverted once you find out the source of it.
That was Mike when he was like, you see a humanoid licking up water, and we were all like,
yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah, silhouettes and shadows and silhouettes, and explaining, because it's always fun when you look at shadows themselves, because it's like, well, it doesn't really represent what actually is making the shadow. You know, shadow puppets are a thing. You know, you can sort of shape your hand to look like anything. And with that concept, it's always fun to sort of describe what looks like in action, and sort of like what you were talking about, like subversion of sort of the expectation of you think you see it doing something. You're like, oh, it's like on all fours. That's okay. It's like a canine. And then it stands vertically, and you're just like, no, that's not what it is. Why was it on all fours? Like, why was it doing that? And that's also fun too when it comes to like perception checks for D&D, because you don't have to give them. Most people, when they ask for it, they're like, what do I see? And I make a perception check. What do I see? And it's sometimes even more fun to go, well, you still don't see anything, but I'll give you other senses. You know, you hear, you know, sloshing of water, and it sounds like something wet's hitting the floor. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? It's like, that's not good. And there's always a fun moment to be like, yeah, Never like it's always good to give your players something, especially when they ask for it and they do well in the role. But you are the GM. You don't actually have to do that. You have all 5 senses to work with.
I think it freaks people out more when you give a descriptor on something they weren't expecting, like hearing it versus seeing it. You're taking away sight, so it's like, what the hell is that?
I think that like our sense of sight is the sense that we feel like we have the most control over the situation for most people most of the time. And every other sense, I think, feels it can create a vulnerability or like an intimacy in a way that you're not ready for. Everything feels closer to you, and that you don't. It's like, yeah, I see it all the way over there, right? You have the greatest distance and everything else, and you know where it is in relation to you. I guess sound is like the second most like that, but then it all starts to fall apart. If you're getting other details from a thing, there maybe even is something, if we're talking about monsters and we're talking about like, the human like disgust and revulsion impulses, I think the theories go that they're a lot tied into like dead bodies and rotten food and things that are like actually dangerous to us. Like they can corrupt us and give us infections. And so like evoking the sense of smell or like the taste in the air of like some kind of monster or villain, I think it does something at like a subconscious level. It's like, no, I shouldn't be able to, if I smell it, it's dangerous, right? I don't have control over this, like what kind of germs or whatever. Like it's not explicit, but I think there is like a threat response that you can really activate with that.
There's also it was really fun to take that idea and then sort of subverting it, sort of like instead of something that is dangerous, something that is kind of like welcoming. Like I also love the idea of like when you describe like a tavern or something, like the first thing you do, especially when you're hungry and like they have an open door, like the first thing you don't see is the food. You don't see the people sitting down and drinking and having fun. The first thing you hear is conversation. The first thing you smell is cooked meats and other food that's currently wafting out of the door. Like that's always so much fun to be like, oh yeah, you walk into a city and you're looking for a tavern, right? Yeah, okay, great. Well, first thing you got to do is just look around, or not even look around, but you have to hear where the sounds are. Where are people currently, congregating? Where are they hanging out? And the moment you figure out where all the singing and laughter and conversation's happening, then you're like, and then you start to smell food. You're like, oh, I know where I'm going. I'm heading towards the food. It smells great. And it's also fun when you start to describe a character of like, you mentioned too, Nick, like the idea of like taste towards a person, like what would they taste like? Like meeting someone who's so sugary bubblegum sweet, of like so hyped and so like energetic that you can kind of be like, yeah, it smells and tastes like candy in here in this room, and it's just this person emanating, just like their aura, just like you can't describe it any other better way than just saying it's just this person's sweet. You can't describe it any other way. So what does Legati?
Lorelai would be some concoction.
I was gonna say, what does Legati smell like?
I wrote this down before, right?
Did you?
So do I have these notes?
Yeah,
I think I shared it in.
And that's why Nick said not literally in caps.
Yeah,
I went, I took it literally.
I think it was like pipe smoke was a big one. I think that's and again that's academic vibe. That's like a certain kind of outdoorsy vibe.
I think you said earthy.
What did we decide for Phoenix?
Everybody said she was sweet and spicy too.
You're a sweet and sour sauce?
No, I think I said something between, what did I say? Cloves and ash. So it's got like a little bit of like a cinnamony clove smell, but like also mixed with like ash because from what she is and where she comes from.
Yeah, I'm sure we've gone through this. Go for it.
I found my notes on Legati, and one thing I noted, like Legati smells like an overturned log in a damp wood. And I like that because I think that is I think that's true, because he doesn't like wash his clothes a lot, and I think he like picks up random objects, and I do think there's like mildewy or just like natural growth kind of scent about like the clothes that he wears. But also it's like overturning a log is something he would do. And the kind of weird, unpredictable change and growth and like rot under a log is his vibe.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's like, oh, look what's happening with this wood out here in the middle of the
And
forest.
now
Look at everything
the
that's
other side
growing
has a
on
chance
it.
to grow.
Yeah. Like you're just flipping stuff over, seeing what's underneath. So it's a scent, but I like it when it's an accurate sensory detail and it tells you a lot about the thing. All the associations that come to mind like get attached to the thing.
I want to play a little game here and assign. I think we've played this game before, but I want to assign some senses to our both past and current characters. I think for Diva, I think smells like perfume. I think that might hit very well. Perfume and like sweet liquor, I think is probably. Or that and
I was
leather.
gonna say perfume and leather.
Yeah.
Because
All right, that was her thing. She was a kinky girl. And
well,
then
that and she had to not kill everybody when she was a werewolf. So
I
she didn't
don't-
have to be strapped to the table.
Ironically, I don't think I have a good sense for Morse. I think the only thing I could probably sign him is like cigarette smoke. That only because he hung out so much with the lawyer.
Cigarette and burnt coffee.
Like it seeps into your clothing. I would assume it seeps into his armor.
Anybody who's like a really heavily armored character, I think there's always
Stuff
like
going on.
you would smell like metal if
Yeah.
you wore plate armor for like 8 hours a day. You would smell like a metal and the oil that you have to put on the armor for it to be able to move.
Oh no!
That's just what would happen, you know.
Smells like an ashtray.
Oh, he's metal and cigarettes. Oh,
Metal and
Morse.
cigarette. No. If he was actually like more of like a, I don't want to say churchy, but more like devout paladin, I could see like metal mixed with like the incense and stuff that's
Incense?
burned in the church. But like he's said he's explicitly not that. So
Yeah, he's more of an oathy paladin instead of a
Mhm.
devout paladin. Arrow, I want to say like the sea, but the thing is he's been away from the sea for so long, I'm not sure if it would linger. I'm not sure if it's stuck. It would stick on him. The easy answer is the sea.
I think seawater does stick. Like you know how like sand is hard to get out of every fucking
Oh, that's
crevice,
true.
and then like.
Is he still sandy? Does Arrow still have a bit of sand? He's in the elemental plane of ice, and he's still got a little bit of ocean with him.
I would think so, and also that scent also stays on your clothes too. When you've been at the beach for a while, like you need to wash your stuff out, as you just smell like that.
Yeah.
I was gonna just say like salt, sea salt, and like he does woodworking.
Yeah, sea salt and wood. Not bad. Mask is new. Mask we're still learning.
Mask has got to be tea and some kind of something
I have
flowery.
theories, but I can't talk about them.
Because it's always tea. Some kind of tea, herbal tea mixed with something.
Sure. I will amend to whatever you guys say because I don't think I can add to this conversation based on prior knowledge.
I think we're still
Well, I
waiting
can't-
to see. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
waiting to see how
TBD.
everything shakes out.
Well, the beyond just the scenes you can play out and design for your characters to sort of experience beyond the first few senses, I also sort of the other topic to talk about today is also the importance of continuity in a story. Is it important? Is it important to really stick by it? And is it sort of more free flowing? I was stuck on the concept of the question and sort of the answer because it's a little disheartening when
It's like, yes,
when a
but.
player is so involved in the story and they're the note taker and they're writing it, and all of a sudden you switch something up and they're just like, that's not what it was, and it almost feels a bit disheartening to that person. And then sometimes no one cares.
I've called you out on your notes before. I was like, that's not that thing.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I did it because I thought it would, either I forgot or I'm like, the story sounds better this way. It's like, well, you forgot this one piece of lore that you shouldn't have. Continuity be damned.
Yeah, you always hope you don't forget any details that are important, but it's I think it's something that everybody has to accept that it's just not how live created collaborative stories work, that every detail that's ever mentioned is locked in stone. I don't think it's feasible, and it's not every detail that is ever mentioned is as important as every other detail. That's not how any stories work. Like how much word for word of a book that you read and love do you remember? Not a lot. You remember what you create in your head and memories, which are different than the thing. And a lot of the details are lost, right? So I think as a DM, you gotta hope that you recognize what really resonated with players, what they will remember when things come up at some later time. And you know enough to get the feeling right. As long as it feels right and feels, I think that's the secret. As long as it feels like it's continuity, it feels continuous, then it is. That's all that it needs to be, right? If it turns out that, this character actually had different color hair before, there could be explanations for that, but also that this character is not about their hair color, right? They're about a certain way they act or what they do or how they make the characters or the players feel. And so it's about like getting those details right and recognizing that if you are trying to, as everything comes up, like, I think if you're having you're having a audio recording of everything you say and then transcribing every single detail and then putting it into a wiki, you're doing something, but I don't think you're doing something that makes the game better than just, what do we remember? What notes do I jot down during or after a session? If a player wants to remind me of something, I can decide if I'm going to, yes, you're right, it was actually that. Let me retcon that really quick. Or actually, it's different now. And let's see if that matters or whatever. I think holding on loosely to it and trying to get the, like, what are the important feelings and the important touchstones to bring back to make something feel continuous.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, Amber, do you remember every in-continuity thing I've ever done?
I think with you is more with names. I was like, that's not what that thing's called. I mean, their hair could change whatever the hell they want to change it, but I was just like, my brain works that way. It's like, oh, that thing is called that. That's how I've committed it in my brain. And so when you change it, I'm like, damn.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better on that.
You don't do it very often. You don't, but like
Which is impressive because I've got 3 continuities running in my head every single week.
And then, like, I remember I think I took more notes in Mosted, to be honest. I think this point is, like, it's more important stuff. Mosted, I was writing everything down. So, like, when I heard you and then wrote it down, I committed it to memory and I was like, that's not that thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more about the feeling of the story, characters, background, location. I think so long as you have sort of a flashcard of important characters and what they kind of interacted, what was like the feel, I think that's enough. I think everything else can kind of float beyond that.
I think people forget that the world is changing. It's not just your player or GM bubble. It's like stuff is happening outside of this party. Like stuff is still going on. Seasons are coming and going. People's lives are still commingling with each other and chaos is still ensuing. It's just that you're in this moment right now.
Something that I've told Amber, because there was a question about it, and I was like, yeah, you guys have left the capital and of Outslock, and you guys have went to the ice plane. Days have been passing. Things are changing. And this is sort of my attempt to be like, let's make this a little less convoluted. But beyond the importance of continuity, whether it is or isn't, and what can actually be written down to make sure that it is important, is when a story needs to end, the importance of ending a campaign and when it should end, whether it should end sooner or later. I struggle with this. I very much do. So I think there's always like key milestones I want to hit. You know, like I've run one campaign that lasted up to level 12, and I knew it was going to go to level 12 and end there. And I had another campaign that went to level 20. And I knew I wanted to do some events after the players hit level 20 to make it sort of very official. And then it ended. And then this one, I think I've bounced between Amber. I was like, I don't know if I want to end it sooner. I don't know if I want it later. And it's like, it is a hard line to follow. And Nick, you ran a game for 8 years. You could have technically ended it at any point.
Yeah, it's, I think the D&D framework of, well, it goes up to 20, so then you're done. You get to 20 and then you're done, right? I think it's a way to do it. I don't think it's the right way. I don't know if there is one right way. I would like, it's like, okay, when does the story come to an end? And is it really true that the climax of the story is however long it takes characters to get to level 20? What are the odds that the game mechanic arc and the story arc end satisfyingly at the same time? Right? I think that's, especially because I think it's very hard to keep the gameplay as good at those really high levels. It's fun, like, to be characters who are super powerful, and especially like to see that they've changed so much, and the challenges they can take on are so much more. But I don't think that's where D&D, for example, operates best as a game. But I also, like, as a game, I want to play with that part of the game. I want, like, think I would feel unsatisfied as a player a lot of times if it was like, yeah, we're going to get to this level and then stop. And I'd be like looking at all the levels and the things I don't get to do. It's like, oh man, but there's all this other stuff. But there's always more in the game system than you can do in one game. You didn't play all the other classes, right? There's so many things you didn't do, but just that framework of, here's level 1 to level 20, and you get a new thing every single level, and then there's no more to go. It feels like that's where it should end. But I definitely wouldn't say that's the best way to do it. I just think out of the box, that's, for D&D, that's the most obvious when are you done point. Everything else, I think you have to decide and ideally plan. I don't think any of us would say, it ends when people have to move or people's schedules change, so you just wrap it up. That's like, you want to give some satisfying ending, but that's not good. That's not the way you want to end a campaign.
Have you...
I feel like that's the norm, though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even in our Discord, they were like, oh, like, there's only a few of us that have been able to get to level 20. And I'm like, oh, I'm spoiled.
It's a feat. It's really a feat to get anyone to level 20. I mean, Mosted took 4 years.
Yeah, but you did it well because we only played a couple sessions as level 20. Like, we got there, and then it was an uphill battle just to do that. And I think...
How long have we been doing Ventir? Like 2 years?
A year?
A year?
Yeah, a little over a year.
Like a year and a half, maybe?
I think it'll be 2 years.
Like, you guys are... I'm kind of... In comparison to Mosted, I'm kind of racing you guys. I'm giving you guys faster level ups because I don't want to have another 4-year campaign.
Bro, I think I felt like Mosted was a rush, but that we also had a kid in the middle, so we took a break. So like there was a chunk there that we took a break for. But I think the dynamic feels different because we have more players this time.
What level you guys are level what now? 9?
No, 7 or 8.
7 or 8? I gotta level you guys up a little more because we're at session 50.
We baby.
I think we're 8. I think we just went
8.
to 8, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike's like, what level are you guys?
You might
9, 10?
you might level up after the demon. Who knows? It is a feat though. That is a milestone to complete that. But there's plenty more game to
There's
tell.
that question too, right? Like, if it's a game where you can mess with the pace, right? Like, how fast are people leveling up? Are we doing downtime montages? Do like months pass in between game sessions sometimes? Like, those are tools you can use to like smooth the narrative arc and try to make it follow the same kind of arc as the stats and the gameplay side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
guys.
I felt like we were crashing through walls. I think me, Steve, and Temple all said that. As only being a party of 3, Mike was like, I'm gonna hit you really fucking hard and see what you do. And it was like, we're just gonna keep doing it. And we're all got horrible PTSD.
It feels like for Ventir, there are moments in game where it's like, I'm gonna hang out in the geode, space and kind of have a night of like hanging out. And there have been multiple moments like that where I haven't felt the need that you guys need to take a long extended break, because you've been able to implant moments of kind of levity or breathing room in between these sort of story beats. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, they're able to spend a night in this hotel and kind of hang out and kind of do nothing. Or there's moments that they're traveling and nothing happens, and they're just able to sort of just travel unabated. And I think that might be the goal for Ventir, is like, I'm not going to probably give you a lot of like explicit downtime moments. There may be 1 or 2, but I can't see myself go, yes, and then every 4 levels you get a downtime because you've been going, ham for months. No, you guys have literally been going through like, hard experience, break. Hard experience, break. You've been kind of going to stop and go, which is kind of
Yeah,
nice.
I feel like we do that on purpose.
I think like, for whatever reason, our group of characters and Arrow, Phoenix, and Legati being the consistent 3 so far, and then Mask is definitely also in this vibe, but like, we are often recognizing some of the reality of the stresses and strains that our characters have just been through. Like, Phoenix is always like, all right, I need a break. This has been too exhausting. I'm too stressed out. Arrow is like, recognizing that has been freaking out about everything. Legati, it's more like, this jungle sucks ass, and I'm sick of this place, and like, Legati will get grumpy about it. It's like, I'm ready to get to the next thing. I'm done with this kind of thing. And I think that is easy to lose or get the balance wrong with characters. It's either this is a video game, I'm just gonna play, and then like, I just almost died, but I'm fine, like, mentally. We don't see it on screen that you went down to 1 HP, right? Or it's your characters are always complaining and not wanting to do anything, right? Which is also not fun. But it's we constantly get into that kind of danger and stressful situations, and then our characters then like react to that and would like to have at least an evening to decompress, kind of thing.
Yeah, there's been, I think, you like the time you spent a night in Mask's like taking over cabin, and there are these moments of just like, and then we rest, and then we're not gonna do anything today. It's raining. I don't care. I'm gonna hang out in here.
That was like a sad, like, it was like, new person, rest, a dude got put in the book, and Diva ran away. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, major changes, and yeah. I think that's I think relevant to the original question, like, when do you end a campaign? Because I think a lot about Blades, because now we're in a situation where one of our original characters is in prison for several months, and we have a replacement character. And Blades is designed that characters burn out and either have to retire or go to jail or die. Like, the creator said something like, play your characters like you're driving a stolen car, right? You don't play them so that you're going to get them safely to level 20 and be the most powerful people in the city. like do cool things, live a stressful life, and eventually they're just not capable of doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, when do you end a campaign? It's the ship of Theseus, right? If you replace characters one at a time over time, and eventually you have a completely different group, that's not a different campaign, but none of these people were here at the start, and maybe your goals are different and you're doing a different thing, right? That's another one. I know there are D&D campaigns that are like that, like West Marches style stuff, players come and go, where the world just continues forever. It's not a start to end campaign. It's just a world that different characters inhabit. And it really would just be like logistically, when are different people not able to play together anymore, rather than a grand narrative climax.
I think
that's the fun thing about it, though. I was gonna say, I think that's the fun thing about Blades, but I think you have to be a certain type of person to play it. Because I think if you're a person that is like my character, they cannot, no harm shall come to them, you're probably not gonna have a good time. But if you're like us crazies, and we're just like, ah, fuck it.
The moment that Graham's
do the
back,
crazy thing.
I think that's the problem, is that, and for disclosure, my character is the one who went to jail. It's a hard thing to think about, because I know that the moment Graham has currently, like my PC has all of his, he has every stack, he has his money all set. You know, he's got money for days, and it's not a problem. Now it's like almost like he has every excuse to be as wild as he wants. You know, like, there's no reason for, but the problem is I'm gonna play Graham until he dies, and then I'm gonna be like, is everyone else still playing? It's like, what do I do now? Or until I retire, you know? I think it is an unfortunate I think that's one thing that probably the creators of Blaze didn't think about, is that everyone at the table has to play that way. Because eventually, as the GM, if you're like, hey, you're gonna play until you crash, cool, player 1 crash, player 2 crash, and then you're kind of your GM playing for one person. You know, like, there has to be an end. There has to be like a notable moment where, like, okay, and whether you're alive or not, and then we stop.
Yeah, I think that's
benefactor.
Yeah, get a benefactor. Get. I think that's part of the thing that Blades does that, like, you don't have in D&D. It often emerges in D&D, but Blades, you have your character sheets and you have the crew sheet. And actually, Blades is the story of the crew. It's the story of this faction, and you guys are parts of it, but the faction grows, and your faction naturally is going to become more than just the original people who founded it, right? So it's the story of this group. And it's, you know, maybe the climax is a big war, and you step up and you become very powerful, but I think it's designed for a game where individual characters have their own arcs over time and maybe come and go. But the story is on, like, the world and how this group inhabits it. And I think that is unusual for games, and it is unusual for, like, it's not how a lot of stories go. A lot of like, often TV shows, movies are, like, focused on individual characters rather than the groups. But I do think it works well for Blades, is like keeping that in mind, is this is the story of a criminal organization and the different people that make it up and come and go over time.
I guess Blades is the perfect West March game. You know?
You certainly could play it that way. You could play different characters coming up. I mean, it's built in with, if you overindulge when you're indulging vice, one of the options you can pick is your character just disappears for a few weeks and you play somebody else. Like, that's built into one of the rule systems, is, and I think it is one of the tenets they tell to players, is like, hold on loosely. Like, be ready to, actually my character does disappear, and I'm gonna play somebody else and explore a different aspect of this world and everything. And it's like, hypothetically, that could go on forever, you know,
you
as long as you want it to.
And be already an antagonist for your previous character, someone who's just
yes,
trying to already start to erase history.
That's that's a funny way to go about it. Is your new character is like talking shit about the old character and trying to get everybody to forget him. I think that's really funny.
Well, how do we end this? How do we end this episode? How do we figure out when this above table is end? Well, we could do it right now. So I want to thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.